think it's important to understand your why. When I started, I was just learning, but I really didn't dig deep enough, even though I probably had that why deep within me. So one of my mentors, he had me to go through this exercise. It's basically 7 levels of why. And then with that 7th why, put that in front of you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Traveled Show. This is a show about people that were successful in a previous career and left that career to go down a different path. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
And I'm your co-host, Bill Zahller.
On today's show, we're pleased to welcome Micy Liu. Micy, we're so glad you're with us. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, things has changed quite some since we last spoke, but I'm so excited to be here and share my story.
Excellent.
Great. Well, Micy, again, thank you for being on the Road Less Traveled Show. We'd like to, I guess, just start off with a little bit of background about you. Well, what was your former career and how long were you in that line of work?
Yeah, it's interesting when you say formal because I've been a little bit jack of all trades since I started working. From more in the sales space with door-to-door marketing, multi-level marketing, to supply chain based, being in the buying area, to IT based, dealing with SAP softwares, and then to data analytics. And that's what I'm still working on right now before the venture that we're going to talk about, which is real estate. I work in the data analytics space for a Fortune 30 company in the real estate supply chain planning area. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And then to touch on the real estate side, what are you transitioning toward you're working on now on the real estate side?
Yeah, mostly on the private equity in terms of real estate syndication. So group purchase. I know you guys had a few other guest speakers on this topic. So basically it's a group purchase to allow people who are usually busy professionals invest passively into real estates.
Okay, excellent.
Micy, go back a little bit, if you would. Again, just I know from our previous conversation, you have actually kind of a great story as to how you even started. So start at the beginning, if you would.
Yeah, sure. There's different parts of my story. I started on the kind of the corporate journey part, but before that, I was initially from China. I came to the US when I was 16-year-old as a high school exchange student. I was still a teenager. I spoke English, but nobody really could understand my accent or the speed of my conversation. I was speaking really fast and coming on to Arkansas, where I took my first flight, an international flight, landed in Arkansas, and get out of the Arkansas flight. All I see are cows. Not to stereotype Arkansas, but I was exchange student at a pretty rural area. Yeah. So from there, and the reason I say that part of the story is because I came from a humble beginning with my family more in the middle class in a small city. Helped me to go to school here while I worked throughout college with internships and jobs, and also got scholarships before I put myself through a master's degree while I was continuing working and diversified into different career opportunities because of my interest in different spaces. It all kind of tied together, thinking back about my story, how I didn't know which table to sit at in the high school I was exchanged to during lunch, right? Like kind of the Mean Girl version of the story, if anyone watched it too. Today, I'm pretty confident, outgoing, and able to talk to people. So I feel that from a personal journey or real estate journey or professional journey standpoint, I've definitely grown a lot in this past.
Very cool.
13 years, I guess it's been.
Very cool. So to the point of being somebody who knew English, but you were speaking very fast, maybe you should have gone to New York or something like that rather than Arkansas, where people talk a little slower.
Yeah.
I lived many years in Georgia and whatnot, and you have people from all over, of course. I was in Metro Atlanta, so that's a melting pot where people come from everywhere. But what there definitely are, you do occasionally run into people who do talk very slow. So yeah,
it's good. I'm still in touch with my host family here. Very nice people. I call them mom and dad.
Yes.
They're like my second family here, apart from my parents-in-law. I got married last year. So very nice people. It was perfect for me that they spoke slower so I could really learn the language.
Okay, good. That's awesome. So Micy, as you look back, maybe like you said, you've done a lot of different things to kind of get you where you are today, which is pretty cool. I know a lot of us have similar things where we've done different fields over time. And can you look back and think of some kind of a funny event that happened to you, something along the way that really left an impression on you or made you think, really, I've got to change. I got to do something different?
Yeah. The reason I found it interesting to ask that questions, right? That's one of the reasons I love you guys' podcast. You're trying to really get to the personal level of the story. For me, being initially from another country, and I've really grown to love this country and the freedom it offers. I spend a lot of time in the US, and I only go home about a few times, a few weeks a year. And during COVID time, and I haven't been able to go home for 3 years. So family has always been very important for me, being the oldest of the 4 kids actually now, because I had step siblings that has been fairly recent years. So being the oldest, I always felt like shoulder of responsibility to be there for them. And in 2017, when I was working for a few years, I got unexpected news about one of my family member passed away. So that's where I felt the burden was even stronger, just being there for my siblings and also for my father. So and that was my stepmother that passed away. So my mother is still alive and I'm still working. But what that led me to think was, how can I be there for them? So through that process, all I knew was to get a better job, get a better degree. So I sped up, finished my master's degree, and got a better job. Moved to Arkansas in 2019. And then kind of COVID happened after I started house hacking and started getting a taste of the passive income. And one of my roommates was actually laid off from work. It wasn't really due to COVID, it was just more of a structural layoff. And, I was thinking, wow, there's so many uncontrollables in the world. And, I've just been so focused. I was working 12, 13 hours a day, and I wasn't really getting the promotions I really worked for either. So I thought, I can't put all my eggs in one basket, even though I really liked my team. And so I wanted to start thinking about other sources of income. And my father actually started the real estate business in China in 2009 when I came, but it was economic recession during that time. So the business didn't go very well. And it was related to real estate. So I never thought I would do that. But seeing the passive income, that's where I was like, wow, this is nice. How can I do this more? So I bought another duplex from there. But then I ran into the issue of scalability and dealing with tenants and toilets. So I quickly researched and pivoted from my friend's recommendation to go into real estate syndications and passive investing first, and then actively investing. I made the switch pretty fast though, and scale pretty fast as well. We're right now over 1,000 units in terms of general partnership, and also as a fund manager as well.
Excellent. That's impressive. Yeah. Again, it definitely, I wish I learned it earlier in my career, kind of a thing. But the idea that very much you've already touched on it, and that is that, listen, when you're working hard, you're delivering for as an employee for a company. Actually, I think it's Kiyosaki, or I think it's Kiyosaki talks about it. You're helping make somebody else wealthy, rather than trying to build your own wealth. When you're taking more of an entrepreneurial path, it's not easy, but at the same point in time, that's where you see the payoff. By a lot of people leverage real estate for that purpose, and there are other ways to do it as well. Your own company, things like that. Your own company perhaps that has nothing to do with real estate, but the point is that you're taking control of your destiny when you're moving in that direction, which is what you're doing, which is excellent. Very nice.
Yeah. And, I think there's a lot of benefits in having a great, stable job too. Hopefully whoever are working on the jobs, they're more thinking about how they are refining their skill set and taking that as an asset versus just working the hours, because that's never enough. And even, I have 3 remote associates on my team, and I always encourage their side hustles and things like that to diversify their income, because there's only so much I can do as a business as well.
Yeah. Nice.
Absolutely. You kind of already touched on what was kind of a deciding factor is more control of why you were kind of transitioned to real estate, more opportunities, not, tied to any one source of income. Can you think back maybe what your first victory was when you transitioned to that real estate field and that made you think, well, I'm definitely on the right path now, and what your first win?
Yeah, that would be the first experience of house hacking.
Mhm.
Literally, I just wanted to purchase a home because I was tired of paying high rent when I lived in Chicago, and it was time to actually own a home and make the payment towards the equity of the house. And it was a 3-bed, 2-bath. Bought it for $100 a square foot, and thanks to the appreciation, right, by real estate and weight, right, and right now it's like $350,000 in appraised values in matter of 2 years,
Mhm.
2.5 years. So it's been a really great market on that. So that's one thing I was like, wow, I'm definitely on the right path. And looking at historical data, being a data analytics background, we look at historical data in all recessions since 1980s. Real estate really went up every time, well, about the same, except for 2008 and 9, when the subprime mortgage and oversupply of housing was an issue. So the success I had in the appreciation and the data we're seeing in the market gave me very good confidence on that. And then, by the way, collecting payments from my roommates was also a plus. My mortgages and utilities were all covered. So that was a small victory I really enjoyed as well.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's amazing when we go back and look at the the years going back 100 years. Real estate has had many more up years versus the stock market. I mean, people always talk about traditionally the stock market has returned 7%, 8 or whatever over time, and while that may be true, real estate still performs better. And and also, again, when you talk about the 2008 crisis, 9, 10, whatever time frame, the fundamentals are just completely out of whack. You mentioned it, excess housing. That's crazy because in a way, yeah, there was excess housing, but now we're in such a housing shortage. We're like, 4 or 5 million units short of really having enough housing in this country today, which is why, prices are going up all across the board. And again, obviously that's an opportunity. So,
Yeah, and a lot of excesses, right, too, in the lending industry. I mean, they were
right.
doing 103% loans, so all you had to bring was a pin to closing, and they would have the 3% rolled into the loan cost, and so there was no skin in the game from
Yeah.
anybody. I mean, which was,
Yeah.
I think, led to some not
You have
necessarily tighter lending standards, underwriting standards.
Yeah. I imagine a conversation with some of the lending institutions. Do you have a job? Yes, I have a job. Do you want me to prove my income? No. We don't need to see that. That's okay. Here's your loan. It's just out of whack.
Yeah, ninja loans, right? No job, no income, no assets, and
yeah. So, Micy, as you're moving in the direction of doing real estate as a side hustle and expanding that, and that'll, when you first started, going down that path, you mentioned, I think you said you initially started with single family. Did you say you had a loan constraint in terms of you couldn't get any more loans? Is that right?
No, I got in a single family and got a duplex, and both are house hacking because
Okay.
I didn't want to put down a large amount of capital. And during that time, it was just me and my husband, and so I mean, at the time, he was my boyfriend and other things as well. But so it's just two of us that we would be considering moving around. So we thought, house hacking is a great tool where we can get the cost dollar average a little bit lower from a money downside. So so that's what we did with house hacked. But the issue we had was the tenant experience. We inherited a tenant that basically trashed the place, and also ghosted us. Couldn't find them. A number of issues. It was just very stressful. I think legal issues is probably one of the potential highest potential risk as a landlord. A lot of times
Makes
we're
sense.
not considering in case, let's say fire hazard, and when you should have been able to protect the tenant and the resident. So
Gotcha.
that's where I was thinking, how can I start to scale more on the passive side while still getting great returns? That's when I started investing passively.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And again, similar story for myself. And I thought I wanted to really start doing real estate as a side hustle for me. And my wife and I purchased a single family on a short sale. There's some, I won't go into that, but the North Carolina has weird laws around a foreclosure, just with having a 10-day upset rule, which just makes it really seems like it just cycles and cycles. Anyway, we bought this house, and then I quickly, we were under contract 2 weeks later. Then I did the math. I'm like, wait a minute, $100 passive income a month. That's going to take forever to replace my income. So that's why I decided I wanted to move to bigger things. And it sounds like you're along that same line too. And the nice thing about it is when you're in the bigger properties, in apartment buildings, you're usually not managing unless, some people do choose to self-manage, which is fine. And that's a choice, but we use third-party management, that way we don't have to take the call at 2 a.m. We don't have to, deal with the person that, trashed the place or is ghosting you because they don't want to pay their bills. So, we have a professional that stands in the middle of that conversation. So, yeah.
Micy, do you still own your original 2 rentals?
Yes, because I was able to refinance out of some of them. The other one, I'm likely to take a HELOC to invest passively as well, and to just overall grow my business.
Nice.
That's the best use of the funds.
Tax-free
Yes.
from the home equity. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Absolutely. So Micy, maybe in your real estate world now, is there something humorous that's happened to you that you can share? Something funny?
Something funny. I would say it's not. I can't say it's funny, but just things that I've been learning in the partnerships. Everyone's kind of different levels. Sometimes the only way you know how to identify the right partners is to start dating and start working together, and learn to lean on each other's strength and work through the opportunity areas. I'm sure with you guys too. So. I've been able to appreciate the partnerships I had, with our strength in different areas, with our opportunities, because without those, I wouldn't been able to grow so rapidly as well. The partnerships through the fund and through coaching our partners. And I'm just really bad with humor, so I can't come up with anything on that. Usually my husband is the one that has humor, and I'm usually the one that's all serious. So
can you bring him in real quick? No. No, and we always, Richard and I always talk about too, it's definitely a team sport, right? I mean, on the house hacking level and those things, you can do it all yourself, but as you start scaling, as you get bigger, you need people to fill more roles and be more specialized in certain aspects of it. And everybody has a different strengths they play to. So, I mean, it's definitely a team sport. And we always say it's not the real estate business, is the relationship business, right? Because it's all, it's all the relationships you build over time with the brokers, your investors, different partners, and in your deals that make it a successful business in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, Micy, actually, Bill mentioned bringing your husband in to tell a joke. If he's not available, just have him write a joke out for us and email it to us, and we'll put it in the show notes. How about that?
I'll ask him.
Okay. There you go. Perfect.
Well, Micy, where are you today on your journey on the new career path of real estate? You've talked about you had the initial house hack, you moved from LP into GP, and then where do you see your future going?
Yeah, the future is definitely continue to scale beyond just multifamily, which is the core of our assets. We're also scaling to other asset classes because for our investors, they want to look at diverse range, not just in geographic locations, sponsors, but also asset classes as well. So looking at self-storage, mobile home parks, some of the other assets as well. Continue to learn and partner with people in that space. That will probably be the number one thing, and figure out ways to continue to scale. We want to stay really focused in serving our investors, because that's where we can scale, and that's where we can serve our investor the best, when we start focusing on something and become having greater economies of scale in our negotiation powers and in our reputations as well.
Right. Well, excellent. And what are there certain geographical areas you focus on? Or is it kind of where the opportunity lies? Or
yeah, mostly Texas, Arizona, North South Carolina, and Florida, the growth states in the Sun Belt region. We want to focus on that because that's where we're going to see a good combination of cash flow and appreciation, more on the appreciation side, of course. We feel like it would help us protect our downside if there is economic downturn, given the job diversity in some of those specific cities in those markets.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So Micy, as you continue in your journey, are there some things that you do along the way to perhaps help others? Maybe it's personally, maybe it's through your business. Anything you can share?
Yeah. So you're asking what are the things that I am passionate about helping people along the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I'm very passionate about on two levels. One is, so my husband has a theology YouTube channel. I don't tell him enough on this, but I would love to give him more time back in working on those. That's one of the things that he's passionate about, kind of like a selfish passion I have. And the other one is helping more kids and adults to learn about financial literacy. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn and hosted a series called Building a Legacy last month, keeping this Asian Heritage Month. And I invited quite some speakers who talked about building a legacy. One key component of building that and also passing that along is to how to educate your kids in that space, whether it's volunteering through junior achievement programs, which is a nonprofit at schools. I help the kids learn in a fun way, or around the world, helping kids getting their first step into education, learning how to read, write, and count through things like Pratham USA. So there are some nonprofits I've donated my time and money to and continue to root for them along the way. And then just negotiate and also talking with adults as well, whether it's on LinkedIn and other platforms. I want to continue to focus on those two areas for my husband and also other people, so that our impact will be longer lasting. One of the things, one of the speakers I spoke to, Yogi Patel, he was saying something that's really thoughtful and kind of thought provoking. He's saying that like investing people is one of the best investments you can make, and if there is no growth in the people, we don't have the right talent, then you're just investing things. And at what point does it really contribute to you and the society? So that was really thought provoking, and it's really important for me to keep that in the front and center while I continue to scale the business. Very nice.
You do a lot. That's great to hear. So certainly that's awesome. And again, I think, certainly Bill and I do a number of things, and I'll touch on one of them at the end. But one of the things that we are very passionate about is giving back and really trying to help other people. We do the podcast for educational purposes, to share other people's stories, to inspire folks. We also run 2 monthly meetings. Again, they're very educationally focused from the standpoint of trying to, help people learn about passive investing, help people learn about apartment investing, and how, again, you like your job, great, keep working that job. You don't have to leave your job to have a side hustle and grow your wealth. Some people choose to do so, and we certainly have, and that's a great objective, depending upon what's the right thing for you. But again, trying to help others through education. A lot of people were gracious with their time as Bill and I were getting going on the apartments, and we want to help others as others helped us. So nice.
Absolutely. Well, Micy, what's something you've recently implemented in your business that's helped you grow and scale this last year?
Yeah, it would be the partnerships, because so my first deal was in fall last year. We closed in beginning December in terms of as a general partner. And from there, I took about almost 5 months of, I guess, siesta break. It wasn't really a break. I just really narrowed and focused on trying to streamline the process to focus on who are the right partners to work with. I really fine-tune our investment criteria and streamline the process, but I was trying to work on everything and it was difficult. So about February, we started forming some strong partnerships with people doing similar things as we are, and we were able to divvy up some of the responsibilities. So, and also leveraged our network of our sponsors. So we were able to really make strides in that partnership and being able to bring better quality deals to our investors as well. That allowed me more time to actually talk to investors as well. So it's kind of a full circle partner with the right people. So you have less working on areas, so you can focus more on also growing your business in other areas and therefore growing in general faster and better quality too.
Good. That's great. Yeah. Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. So Micy, what advice would you share with somebody who's considering making a path change, going down a different route, a different path?
I would say understand your why first. It's easy. There is many paths to get to, right? Like 1,000 roads to Rome, 1,000 roads to financial freedom. I think it's important to understand your why. When I started, I was just learning because the path looked exciting and I felt like it helps me towards my financial freedom. But I really didn't dig deep enough, even though I probably had that why deep within me. So one of my mentors, he had me to go through this exercise. I don't remember the formal name of it, but it's basically 7 levels of why. So ask, why do you want to do this? But ask that 7 times. Yeah. And usually on the 7th one, you're probably like crying because you're getting to like some really deep stuff. And maybe a little dark too, or maybe a little bright, but you're getting into some really deep stuff. So, and then with that 7th why, put that in front of you, put it somewhere that you can see all the time or have someone remind you. And that's going to motivate you to take action. So the first would be figuring out the 7th why. And the second thing would take action with learning, whatever that might be. And then make baby steps, trying to figure out how it can work for you, understand your constraint that you have to work around with, whether it be time constraint or financial constraint, and just take steps on it. And before you know it, you'll be way further along the path than where you started.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I've heard the 7 whys I believe I heard it from Tony Robbins' course, but I don't know if that's.
I think so. It sounded. I think that's what my mentor said. Yeah.
That's a powerful concept. Again, just keep digging. What's the next? Really, what's underneath that? Well, you just gave me the easy answer. What's the underlying answer? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Micy, what's the best way for our listeners to be able to reach out and learn more about what you and your team are involved in?
Yeah, you can visit our website. It's lifemissioncapital.com. You can reach out to us there with our contact. And also my direct email is micy@lifemissioncapital.com. Feel free to send an email as well. I'm also very easily reached on LinkedIn. So that's MICY Micy Liu. So all those are great resources to reach out.
Very good. And we'll include those in the show notes below. Well, Micy, we want to thank you for being on the Road Less Traveled show today. We really enjoyed the conversation and wish you continued success.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is mine. Really honored to be here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Micy, thank you for being on. We really do appreciate it. We really also want to thank our listeners. Please continue to give us a 5-star rating so we can bring you more great content like Micy Liu today. Again, thank you for being on. We also want to thank Park Capital Partners that sponsors the show. And we also want to remind everybody of 2 things. First, the Park Capital Value Add Fund, which is a 506c accredited investor value add fund that's open today. And then we also want to remind everybody of our Park Capital Partners Foundation. That is a 501c3 nonprofit that we have created to give back ourselves. So just briefly, the way that works, I mentioned I'd say it. So Bill and I fund the operations of that foundation so that the money donated to the foundation goes to do its best work to help others. Secondly, we donate a portion of our profits. We donate personally to it. And then when our investors invest with us, we also make a donation to honor our investors to a charity of their choice, which is they can pick from a list of 15 existing charities. Again, trying to really help others and return and give back. We certainly believe very strongly in that. I mentioned why we do things like this podcast is to give back. We certainly also believe that we're all blessed in our lives, and we really think it is a duty and a responsibility to help others. So that's why we do this. Anyway, thank you again, folks. We really do want to thank you for joining in. And remember, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.